Hello and welcome to the podcast. This is Ron's Amazing Stories. We have stories that should thrill you a little and chill you a little.
It's amazing.
What you'll hear are adventures sent in by you guys, classic stories from the pulp mags, and episodes from the golden age of radio. We have special segments like Ghost Stories with Sylvia.
That's amazing.
And These Are Your Stories. So settle in for the next hour and enjoy the show. One more thing. You just might want to prepare yourself to be taken away from today.
Another 5-minute mystery.
This 5-minute mystery is being brought to you by
Ron, what was that?
That, my dear BG, would be the sound of the African giraffe.
How is it able to sponsor the show?
I really can't answer that. You see, I don't speak giraffe.
Inspector Craig, I just decided that working for the police department is very ratifying, especially even more so when it gets us free passes to the circus.
The word is gratifying, nimble-brain. To ratify means to put your stamp of approval on something.
So that's what I said. With me, it's very much okay. When I was a kid, I was always crazy to join the circus.
You know, Pepper, sometimes I wonder...
Yeah?
Oh, never mind.
Inspector Craig, I've been looking everywhere for you.
Oh, hello, Danny. Pepper and I want to thank you for the passes. I think the big show is better than ever this year.
I'm afraid I'm not going to be much of a host, Inspector. It seems the snake charmer's been found dead and...
Murder?
It looks like suicide. I'd like you to run over with me and give it a routine check. Sorry to bust in on your fun this way.
Looks like suicide to me, all right, Inspector.
An open and shut case, as far as I'm concerned.
It's so hard to believe. Dorothy.
You own part interest in the circus, don't you, Brian?
That's right, Inspector. Nat Bryan and I are partners. Nat, I can't tell you how sorry I am.
Thanks. How long were you and Mrs. Bryan married?
Not long. I can't believe she'd do a thing like this.
She was the snake charmer, right?
Yes.
Suppose you tell us how it happened, Brian, so we can get the facts straight.
Well, lately, Dorothy and I... Well, that is, there have been disagreements, quarrels.
There was some talk about a trapeze artist, is that it?
Yes. Dorothy was insanely jealous and thought I was interested in a little tightrope walker.
Were you?
No, there never was anyone else for me but Dorothy. And now...
All right, go on.
I came here late this afternoon to get her to listen to reason. She refused to be reasonable. There was quite a scene, and finally she got up and ran into the dressing room.
Yes, I see. These tents are divided into little rooms. It's very clever. You were out here, is that it?
Yes.
And she went into what could be called the other room. All right, go on.
I had no idea what she intended to do. Otherwise, I just can't seem to realize.
We understand.
Of course we do, Nat. Go on.
Well, that's all there is. She shot herself. And I was sitting here all the time. After a while, I got up and left. I was seen coming from this direction by several people. That's why I came and told you this. I didn't want the police to think I was hiding anything.
You did the right thing, of course. This tent is set apart some distance from the others, isn't it?
Yes. No one wanted to be near the snake charmer's tent in case any of them got loose.
That accounts for no one hearing the shot. There's one thing I don't get. How is it you didn't hear the sound of a gun going off?
I told you it was late afternoon, feeding time for the animals. Dorothy's tent is next to the giraffes. They were making such a racket hollering for their food, I couldn't hear.
Inspector, if I may make so bold as to make a remark here, this guy is, to put it bluntly, an awful liar.
Why, how dare
Are you sure?
Plain as the nose on my face.
Well, that's plain enough for me. Hold still, Brian. Don't make a move.
In a moment, Pepper will reveal the clue that led him to believe it was murder, not suicide. But first...
Well, that seems pretty cut and dried to me. After all, Pepper apparently has a large nose.
I am glad you think so.
I agree, but the giraffe thing bothers me.
Go on.
Okay, the sound we heard in the opening sounded soft and, well, not loud.
Excellent, OP. You got the right answer.
I did?
Did you know that some giraffes can grow up to 18 feet?
I did, but most only have 4.
Now, back to our story.
You better explain, Pepper. How do you know he's lying?
Because giraffes is like turtles. They don't make noises. Brother, is he dumb?
Good work, Pepper. Okay, Brian, you're under arrest.
So, I get the giraffe sound now. You wanted to make the point that they can make noise.
Thank you, OP.
What I don't get is why.
Well, their necks are so long that audible noises are almost below human hearing. But they do humming at night, and that is what you heard at the top of the story.
Wrong. That is amazing.
Well, yes, it is. Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook and a 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/Ron's Amazing Stories. One of the questions I get all of the time is, where did you get your old-time radio, OTR, knowledge? That has a long answer and a short one. The short answer is that I came by it honestly. After all, I listened to it a lot. The truth of it is that I was born after it went away. However, OTR did try to make a comeback in the 70s. They would present showcases of the best series and play them in blocks on the radio. The hope being that this would rekindle the interest in audio storytelling. It did create a nationwide fad, but in the end, the American public said, nah, let's stick with television. And the effort went to naught. Enter CBS Radio Mystery Theater. In 1974, longtime radio producer Hyman Brown convinced CBS to greenlight a new anthology of radio dramas, even though they had been declared dead 12 years before. CBS Radio Mystery Theater was meant to appeal to an audience that remembered when OTR was a popular form of family entertainment. Riding on the wave of nostalgia I spoke of, the radio show attracted many younger listeners. We would stay up late, hidden under our covers, to hear the program on our bedroom radio. I remember setting up 4 speakers in each corner of my room, unheard of in the 70s, just to get the total immersion effect. The stories, at times, were so scary that I had trouble going to sleep after listening to the frightening program. This went on from 1974 to 1982, and later in the early 2000s, it was repeated by the National Public Radio's NPR satellite feed. Now, back to my story for a minute. So, when the CBS Radio Mystery Theater left the air, I wasn't done. I scoured the world looking for OTR shows and bought hundreds of audio tapes and later CDs anywhere I could find them. I acquired a huge collection and I loved them all. But just listening to the shows was not enough. I wanted to know why, how, and when they were made. I wanted to know the actors, producers, and directors. I needed to know how the sound effects were done and who scored the music. So, before there was internet, there were books. And one of the best is On the Air, the Encyclopedia of Old-Time Radio. This answered all of my questions and a few I didn't even know I had. Of course, there were other books, but to this day I still use this one and have both hardbound and Kindle editions. A lot of the information you hear on the show comes from that book. Now let's get back to CBS Radio Mystery Theater. The format was similar to that of classic old-time radio shows like The Mysterious Traveler and The Whistler, both of which we've played many times on Ron's Amazing Stories. Almost all of the episodes were hosted by E.G. Marshall, who provided pithy wisdom and commentary throughout. Unlike the host of those earlier programs, Marshall was fully mortal, merely someone whose heightened insight and wisdom would plunge the listener into the world of the macabre. Let's listen to the introduction of the third episode of the show. It should give you an idea of what it was like.
Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. Welcome to the sound of suspense, the fear you can hear. For the next 52 minutes, we're going to take you into the world of mystery, into the world of terrifying imagination. The story you are going to hear concerns a question which has been asked since the first men on Earth were born and died. Is there a life after death? Is there a way to return from the grave? And if there is, can we come back in the body of a living creature? Even one that has claws instead of fingernails? Here is one chilling answer.
Dr. Singh, you have to tell me. Could my wife have come back as a bird, a sparrow, something like that?
Well, your wife was a rather big woman, Mr. Moresby, in a physical sense.
How about a snake? A seagull? How about a cat? A great, big, fat cat? A cat?
Our mystery drama, The Return of the Moresbys, was written especially for the Radio Mystery Theater by Henry Slessor and stars Patrick O'Neill.
I'll be back shortly with Act 1.
The stories? Well, they ranged from the paranormal to the outright horrific. Despite the show's title, Brown expanded its scope beyond mysteries to include horror, science fiction, historical drama, westerns, and yes, even some comedy. It was broadcast each weeknight. 3 or 4 episodes were new, and the remainder were repeats. There were 1,399 original episodes, and the total number of broadcasts, including repeats, was 2,969. E.G. Marshall hosted the program from January 1974 until February of 1982, when actress Tammy Grimes took over for the remainder of the series. All in all, it was an amazing program and well worth listening to today. So you might be asking yourself, well, Ron, if it was so good, why don't you play them on the show? The answer to that is quite simple. The Copyright Act of 1968, which simply states that everything, both printed and audio material, has a 100-year guaranteed copyright, which means that I can play the series on the show in the year 2074. And if I'm being honest, I have a feeling I won't be doing this then. But you never know. That would be in 50 years, and my best guess is that the RAS episode number will be somewhere around 3,200. But not to fret. There is a way you can listen to these great shows today, and that brings us to our Audible recommendation. You can listen to the CBS Radio Mystery Theater there for free. Browse the episode guide and download the stories that interest you to your system. And if that appeals to you, head to audibletrial.com/Ron's Amazing Stories, and you can do that for free. Here is what Audible has set up for us. They are offering a free audiobook in 30 days to give you the opportunity to check out the service. You can stream or download thousands of included audiobooks, podcasts, and Audible originals in the Plus catalog. There is so much to do, you'll never run out of material. So, to download your free audiobook today, go to audibletrial.com/Ron's Amazing Stories. You'll be helping me out, and you can listen to the CBS Radio Mystery Theater for free. Thank you, Audible. And now, let's get to a few of your stories.
These are your stories, sent by you, for you.
Stories of coincidences and synchronicity never fail to make us shake our heads in sheer astonishment and delight in how the universe sometimes functions. Are they cases of mere coincidence, the random appearance of seemingly remote odds? Or is there something deeper, more meaningful, and ultimately more mysterious taking place? This time I will read stories sent in by you that highlights this paranormal phenomenon. Our first story comes from author James Dupree, who lives in Mikado, Minnesota. He has titled it, My Manuscript. Hello, Ron. The story I'm about to tell is odd but very true. I have no explanation for it and have always decided that it was fate. I had just finished my first book and sent it to a publisher. A few weeks later, I was disturbed to find my manuscript in bad shape all over my front lawn. It was the same copy that I had sent to the publisher, but apparently it had been thrown disrespectfully over my front yard fence. I asked myself, did the publisher really dislike it that much? I decided to call them to find out why my work had been discarded so tactlessly. And second, how did they know where I lived? I use a P.O. box number. The publisher explained that this was not the case at all. In fact, she had high hopes for the manuscript. So what happened? While she was dining at a restaurant, thieves broke into her car and stole several things, including my manuscript. I guess they kept the valuables, but the thieves later just tossed the manuscript away over my front fence. I reprinted a copy and sent it again. The book became my bestseller to date, and I continue to work with this publisher today. You don't have to believe in the paranormal to accept this story, but it helps. James Dupree, Mikado, Minnesota. Well, James, first let me say that this story defines synchronicity. And you're right, it requires no belief at all. It just happened, and that's enough. I would like to know what the name of the book was and what it was about. Please tell us, and thank you for your story. Our next story was sent in by me. I had nothing to do with it, but I found it floating around the internet. Floating is a good word to use because I have titled it, Deadman Floating Home. In 1899, while touring Texas, Canadian actor Charles Coughlin fell and died while in the city of Galveston. His body was placed in a lead coffin, which was sealed and interred in a vault. A year later, a severe hurricane hit Galveston, causing much destruction. This included the cemetery where he was buried. His coffin was washed out of the vault and out of the cemetery by raging waters. It was then carried out to sea and never seen again. The coffin drifted for years on the ocean currents, out of the Gulf of Mexico, along the Florida coast, and into the Atlantic Ocean, where the Gulf Stream carried it north. Coughlin's body had drifted more than 5,600 miles until it was finally discovered in 1908 by fishermen on the shores of Prince Edward Island. Now, why is this significant? Well, that just happened to be Coughlin's home. His body was reburied in the churchyard of the parish where he was baptized. How about that for synchronicity? This next story comes from the pen of Barry Smith. Barry didn't disclose his current location. This story will make you wonder if the idea of a tulpa is a reality. Tulpa is a concept in mysticism and the paranormal of a being or object which is created through spiritual or mental powers. I have titled this story, The Pen or the Tulpa. Hello, Ron. I was attending a fancy dress ball at the invitation of a friend. Before the dance, we went to a restaurant for dinner. We had a lovely time at the event, and after the ball, I returned to my hotel. While I was changing out of my dinner jacket, I noticed that my gold pen was missing, and I was sure I had it during dinner. This pen is very special to me, and I was devastated. After a thorough search didn't turn up the pen, I went back to the restaurant and described it to the staff. It was a gold Schaefer pen inscribed with my name, Barry Smith. After talking a bit with the staff, I was quite pleased when one of them said that they had found it. Later that evening, I was packing my bags to return home the next morning. In the bottom of my carry-on bag was a gold Schaefer pen, another one inscribed with B. Smith. So where did the one in the restaurant come from, and to whom did it belong? On the way to the airport, I returned the pen to the restaurant. I later called and found out that it had never been claimed. Was the duplicate pen somehow manufactured out of thin air? Or was this just some bizarre, unexplained coincidence? I surely do not know. Barry Smith from Parts Unknown. Well, Barry, whether synchronous, coincidence, or just plain paranormal, who can say? I do know that it is an incredible and truly amazing story. Thank you for sharing it with us. Our last story can definitely be placed in the paranormal box of stories, but it also contains a bit of synchronicity. It was sent in by Nancy Hornsby, who writes to us right here in my very own backyard. Hello, Ron. First, let me say I found you while listening to one of my favorite streaming stations based right here in Portland, Oregon. KPLN Radio. I have a strange story for you that I hope you will play on your show. My boyfriend and I like to visit graveyards. No, we are not ghost hunters. We like the history of it all. In fact, this last summer we visited the oldest maintained graveyard in the United States, the Miles Standish Burial Ground in Duxbury, Massachusetts. We went to a graveyard here in Portland a few years back. We often bring lunch with us to spend the day looking at the various headstones with the goal of finding the oldest in the yard. We also look for famous people and take rubbings of the most ornate graves. We were sitting on a bench eating lunch when a small boy came up to us. He introduced himself as Laney. I would guess he was about 7 or 8 years old. He had a charming personality and told some pretty amazing stories. Ron, I think you would have liked him. After a while, he said he had to go now. We watched as he walked off, but he didn't head for any gates. He went deeper into the graveyard. I just thought he was heading to meet with his mom and dad. After lunch, we started off in the same direction as Laney did. What we found still sends chills through my body today. We found the grave of 7-year-old Laney Michael Phillips. Just a coincidence, you say? Hardly. You see, the grave had a picture of young Laney engraved right on it. It was the boy we chatted with. Nancy Hornsby, Portland, Oregon. Well, I would have to say that probably is not a coincidence. and I thank you for sharing your story. Nancy also included a picture of the headstone, and I will have that in the show notes. Our featured story comes from the OTR series Mysterious Traveler. Yes, the very same series that I mentioned earlier. It was a media franchise created by Robert Arthur and David Kogan. It included a radio show, a comic book, and a magazine. All versions of the franchise focused on suspense and crime fiction, with occasional elements of horror or science fiction. The series debuted in 1943 on the Mutual Broadcasting System, featuring a narrator host known as the Mysterious Traveler. The concept was later adapted to the comic book format in 1948 and the magazine in 1952. All of the stories were written and directed by Arthur and Kogan. Our story is about a gang of thieves working in the future, 2185 to be exact, and coming to the realization that not only doesn't crime pay, but it also has its consequences. As you might guess, this one falls under the umbrella of science fiction, but I think it could be true today. Let me know what you think. It is oddly titled S.O.S., and it first aired on May 2nd, 1950.
The Mutual Broadcasting System presents The Mysterious Traveler. Written, produced, and directed by Robert A. Arthur and David Kogan. And starring tonight three of radio's foremost personalities, Ralph Bell, Louis Van Rooten, and Roger De Koven in S.O.S.
This is the Mysterious Traveler, inviting you to join me on another journey into the realm of the strange and the terrifying. I hope you will enjoy the trip, that it will thrill you a little and chill you a little. So settle back, get a good grip on your nerves, and be comfortable, if you can, as we join three enterprising men who are in a very dire predicament. It's a story I call S.O.S. My story tonight is about a group of unsavory individuals at the moment discussing a little unhappily their recent past.
Yes, sir. Here we are, the three of us, adrift out here. How long is it now? How long, Mike?
Let me alone. Ask Steve. He knows everything.
Yeah, he sure does. Couldn't miss, he said. Couldn't miss. Still opportunities. You just had to recognize them. Isn't that what you said, Steve? Huh? Isn't that what you say?
Shut up, Doc. Shut up. I've had enough of you.
Look at him. Now he's going to turn on that automatic radio sender. Isn't that right,
Shut
Steve?
up. Shut up.
Do you really think someone's going to hear those signals? No, sir. We're adrift out here, but for good. You're wasting your time with that radio sender. No one's going to pick us up. Right, Mike?
Stop bothering me. Let me alone.
Yes. I can remember that day, Steve, when you first spilled the plan to us. Oh, you were the mastermind, all right. Remember, Steve, huh?
Yeah, I remember all right. I wish I could forget that day. Forget everything that happened. But there's no escaping it. I can see everything that happened as clear as if it were only yesterday.
Yeah. I remember the way I walked into the office. Mike and Doc were sitting there, waiting for the bad news. Well, Farson got a life sentence. The rest got 10 to 20 years.
Great. Just great.
I just can't get over it. Just can't. Things were running so smoothly. The syndicate was cleaning up, and then this happens.
The three of us were pretty lucky, not being indicted with the others.
Yeah, if we hadn't been in South America, handling that end, we'd have gotten it in the neck, too.
I still do not understand. How could they smash the syndicate overnight? There were no records. Farson took every precaution.
Let's face it, the day for guys like us is over. The cops have science on their side. They're using every trick in the book.
Yeah, you're right.
Television, radar, infrared cameras, electro detectors, light beam alarms, and 101 other scientific gimmicks.
Yes, you are right. They have learned to move so fast that they have taken all the profit out of the rackets.
They sure have. I just wish I had a small part of all that dough I once made. Where did it go? Lawyers, bail, protection. I haven't got a cent left.
Neither have I. What about you, Steve?
I've still got a few grand left.
Well, the way science has turned the heat on, it looks like we'll have to turn honest, whether we want to or not.
Look, I've been working on an angle. What about sticking around for a couple of more days?
Get wise, Steve. The cops are ready for everything these days. There aren't any more angles.
I tell you, I've got one. I just need a little more time to work it out. What do you say?
Well, it cannot do any harm to listen.
How much time do you need?
2 days. Meet me here the day after tomorrow. And I'll lay out the whole plan for you.
Well, Steve, you still got an angle? Or did it blow up in your face?
For the past 48 hours, I've been going over it, detail by detail. And it still looks good.
Well, what is the job? Let's have it.
The lifting of $5 million worth of uncut Martino diamonds from the S.S. Europe.
What? You must be out of your head. It would require an army to take over that boat. It has a crew of over 300.
This plan of mine can be worked with 3 men. Us.
This I've got to hear. Just how would you go about it, mastermind?
All right. 2 weeks from tonight, the SS Europe will be docking in London with $5 million in uncut diamonds and a shipment of 3,000 pounds of uranium under pressure.
3,000 pounds of uranium under pressure?
What are you getting at?
A half hour before the Europe lands, I go to the captain's quarters. You, Mike, you go to the radio communication office. And you, Doc, you go to the special room where the uranium is stored under pressure.
Then what?
I tell the captain that I have 1 man in control of radio communication and another in the uranium storage room. And unless he turns over the diamond shipment to me, a bullet will be fired into the uranium compressor, blowing up the ship.
You really expect the captain to fall for that? Why, he'll call you bluff. Dare you to blow up the ship with us on it.
Of course he will. A threat like that would never work.
You're wrong. You're wrong there. Psychologically, we've got the edge on the captain. Maybe we're willing to die, too. With a crew of 300 and twice as many passengers, he just wouldn't risk it.
Perhaps you're right. After all, his first duty is to his passengers and ship. He would probably figure that we wouldn't get far with those diamonds, that the police would get us in no time at all.
Of course. That's exactly the way he'd see it.
Suppose you do force him to turn over the diamonds. How would we make our getaway?
We'd use one of the ship's emergency launchers.
Sure. Meanwhile, the captain of the SS Europe has radioed the police. And we walk right into their arms.
The captain won't radio the police.
No, and why won't he?
For 2 reasons. First, his radio room will be put out of commission. And second, 10 minutes after we leave the Europe, going to blow up.
Blow up? The uranium?
That's right. There won't be a piece of the ship left or anyone to identify it.
Uh-huh. 5 million in uncut diamonds, you say, huh?
At least 5 million.
This plan of yours, Steve, is just wild enough to succeed. Yes, through sheer audacity, it might be carried off.
A job like that, it's all or nothing.
That's right. Well, what do you say, Doc?
Finding the thought of honest labor abhorrent, I'm inclined to go along with you, Steve.
What about you, Mike?
The odds are against us, but for that kind of dough, I'll risk it.
You won't regret it, Mike. All right, now here's the setup. The day after tomorrow, the SS America is outward bound. We'll be on her when it leaves.
You mean so that we can study the same layout that we'll find on the yacht?
Yes, that's right. By the time we board the Europe for the return trip, we'll know every inch of the ship. Now, we'll have to work fast. I'll take care of getting us passports under assumed names. Doc, I want you to book passage for the three of us on the American. Mike, you take... 2 days later, Doc, Mike, and myself boarded the SS America using false passports. We pushed our way through the other passengers, mostly vacationists, to our cabin on the deck. While we were unpacking, the ship's whistle blew for all visitors to leave. A few minutes later, we were on our way. During the next 3 days, we covered the ship from one end to the other, taking pictures of the layout, learning the schedules of the crew. When we walked off after the 10-day trip, we knew everything there was to know about both liners.
Passengers will kindly step this way and show their passports.
Come on, that's us.
Hope we don't have any trouble with these passports.
Stop worrying, will you?
May I see your passport, please?
Here you are.
Thank you. Richard Werby, born in Boston, United States. How long do you intend to stay here, Mr. Werby?
About a week.
Have you ever been here before?
No, this is my first visit.
Our laws are quite different than those of your country. You will do well to study this booklet, which is issued by my government.
Thank you, I will.
Your passport is stamped. You may pass.
Thank you.
I trust you enjoy your stay with us. Next passenger.
My feet hurt. Why don't we go back to the hotel?
We might as well see the local sights while we're here.
So this is what all our fellow passengers came all this way to see.
This place gives me the creeps. The natives, too. Everything looks so different.
Oh, come on now. Mike, that's no way for a traveler to speak. Sure, this place is different from what you've known. But you'll find plenty to interest you here.
Yeah. Just as soon be back in New York. It's all the same to you.
Relax, Mike. Another week and you'll be back in New York.
Relax, he says. I don't like places that are different. I like what I'm used to. These crazy birds, what do they call them anyway?
I don't know. Do you, Steve?
They're the national bird, called martinos.
Martinos, yeah, look at them. Like vultures, thousands of them.
Oh, you'll get used to them.
And all these canals. Never seen nothing like it.
That's one of the great attractions here. People come from all over the earth to see these canals.
Yeah, well, they can have them.
Look at those ruins over there. War's been over all these years, and yet they've never cleaned them up, rebuilt.
Yeah, our rocket fighters sure leveled the countryside.
No wonder the natives aren't any too friendly, huh?
You say that again. I'll be glad when we board to Europe. Leave this place forever.
Le papato, da da
You check all our luggage?
Yes, I went through the motions of looking like an anxious tourist. It'll be in our cabin when we go aboard.
What cabin did we get, Steve?
Cabin 32B.
32B. That's just a few feet away from the radio communications office.
That's right.
Attention, please. Attention, please. All passengers bound for London will now board the S.S. Europe. Departure time is 0900. All passengers for London will please board the S.S. Europe.
Come on. That's us. We followed the returning vacationists aboard, had our passports checked, and were shown to our cabin. It would be 10 days before we'd go into action, but already the three of us felt that sense of excitement that comes before a big job. And this would be a big job. The biggest ever. The minutes and the hours seemed to drag on that homeward trip. We checked the craft from stem to stern, and the layout was exactly like that of the SS America. On the final night out, all the passengers were celebrating, none of them suspecting that they'd never see London. At 4 a.m., with the liner just 1 hour from London, the three of us went over our plans for the last time, the interminable roar of the motors in our ears. Okay, this is it. You both have your guns?
Yeah, of course.
Now, Mike, you'll take over radio communications. There'll be just one radio operator on duty. Remember now, take him quietly.
He won't let out a peep.
Good. It shouldn't take you more than a few minutes to put the radio and radar equipment out of commission. Now, make sure you don't damage the ship's intercommunication system.
Just leave it to me.
Doc, there's one crew member guarding the storage room where the uranium shipment is being kept. Once you've taken care of him, lock yourself in the storage room. Now, you don't come out until I give the signal.
I understand.
Now, have you got the demolition stick?
It's right here.
Good.
I understand.
Now, have you got the demolition stick?
It's right here.
Good. Now, I've explained how it works. When I rap on the storage room door, you plant the demolition stick under the uranium compressor, so they won't be able to see it.
Right.
We'll have to move fast now. That explosive will go off 10 minutes after it's set.
Will we be able to get far enough away before the explosion?
Oh, yes. The launch is on B deck, right outside the storage room. We'll be in the launch and away in a matter of seconds.
Doc, you've already checked the launch, haven't you?
Yes, I just came from it. It's all set to go.
All right. That takes care of everything. Now, let's set our watches. I've got 4:26, 45 seconds. 50 seconds. 55 seconds. 4:27. Right, check. Okay. Let's go. The three of us left the cabin and separated on the deserted and dimly lit deck. I walked to the nearest staircase and went up to A deck. There wasn't a soul in sight as I walked to the captain's quarters. It was exactly 4:29 a.m. I lit a cigarette, waiting. On the horizon, far ahead, I could see the lights of London. I could feel the liner losing speed. At exactly 4:30, I knocked on the captain's door.
Come in. Oh, come in, Phillips. Are you ready? I thought it was Phillips, my first officer.
No, Captain. I'm merely one of your passengers.
I'm afraid you'll have to excuse me. I'm due in the control room. We'll be landing shortly.
You'll have to hear me out first,
Yes, but I've
Captain.
just told you. God! What's the meaning of this?
Sit down, Captain.
Now, see here.
Sit down. That's better.
Well, what is it?
You're carrying $5 million in uncut Martino diamonds. I want them.
You must be out of your mind.
I'm not alone in this, Captain. At the moment, this ship is at my mercy.
It's your mercy?
Yes. My men have taken over key positions on this ship.
I don't believe you. That isn't possible.
No? Well, just as a test, pick up the phone and dial the radio communications office. Go ahead.
Radio communications office.
Who is this?
It ain't one of your crew members, Captain.
Let me have the phone. Hello, Mike.
Yeah?
Everything under control?
Couldn't be better.
Good. I'll be talking to you. Maybe now you're beginning to realize that I'm not out of my head, Captain.
You must be. You believe you can commit piracy and get away with it?
I'll get away with it, Captain, because you see you're going to help me.
I help you?
Yes, that's right. One of my men has taken over the storage room where the uranium is stored under pressure.
You can't do that. Why, that pressure machine calls for constant care of an engineer. If the pressure falls below a certain point, the uranium will explode.
Oh, take it easy. Take it easy. That pressure machine is being looked after by one of my men. Nothing will happen to it. That is, if you do exactly as I say. You think I'm bluffing? You think I'm bluffing about the storage room?
Storage room?
Everything under control, Doc?
Yes.
The captain's here by the phone. Tell him what your orders are.
I am to put a bullet in the pressure machine if I don't hear from you in 15 minutes.
You heard what he said. Well?
He's bluffing. If he put a bullet in the pressure machine, uranium would blow us all up. You and your men included.
That's right. But you see, Captain, my men and I have nothing to lose. And you and the rest do.
What do you mean?
The authorities in London are waiting to arrest us. Murder. So, as I said, we have nothing to lose if we're forced to blow up the ship.
Even if I turned the diamonds over to you, how would you get away?
We take the launch on B-Deck.
I see.
You've got 13 minutes left, Captain, before my man fires that bullet. And believe me, he will.
Seems I haven't any choice.
None.
The authorities will get you for this.
Let me worry about that. You've got 12 minutes left. Now you're being sensible.
First Officer Phillips speaking.
Phillips, this is Captain Andrews.
Yes, sir.
I want you to go to the purser, have him turn over to you the consignment of uncut diamonds we're carrying. Bring them to my cabin.
Sir, we'll be landing in less than...
That's an order, Phillips.
Yes, sir.
You should be here with the diamonds in a matter of minutes.
For your sake, I hope so, Captain. I hope so.
That must be Phillips now.
Have him come in.
Come in.
I have the diamonds here, sir.
Turn them over to this man.
But, sir...
Do as I say. The safety of the ship and our passengers are at stake.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. You don't mind if I look them over?
What's this all about, sir?
Seems that after many centuries, piracy has returned.
Piracy, sir?
Yes. All right, I've checked them. Now, Captain, if you and your first officer will escort me to B-Deck.
Very well. Come along, Phillips.
Yes, sir.
After you, gentlemen. Our first stop will be the radio communications office. Here we are. Come on out on deck, Mike.
Everything all right?
Yes, stuff's in the sparks. All right, Captain. The next stop is the special storage room.
Very well.
Did you take care of the communications office, Mike?
Yeah, they won't be sending out any messages.
Good. Now, here we are, Captain. Doc? Doc?
Why don't he answer?
The door's locked. Open up, Doc. It's us.
Dave, something's wrong.
Yeah.
Look, let's take the launch and blow out of here. It isn't our fault something happened to Doc.
You're forgetting one thing. We need Doc. He's the only one of us who knows how to navigate that launch.
Yeah. Come on, let's break down the door. Together now. It's coming. Once more. That does it. Searchlight, try to slip away and sound the alarm.
It won't be necessary, Phipps.
There's Doc, lying on the floor in there. He's out cold.
Let's get him out.
Well, the air in here. I can't breathe. The place is full of gas. Better get out of here before we pass out. That gas must have gotten Doc.
Phillips.
Yes, sir?
Disarm these two men. Have the third one on our guard taken out of the storage room when the gas disperses.
Very good, sir.
I see, Phillips, you've revived the third man, eh?
Yes, sir. The three of them are all conscious again.
And the guard?
He's all right, too, sir. Oh, we found this, sir, in the third man's pocket.
Demolition stick.
As I see it, they were going to set it before they left the ship, sir.
Blow up my ships and passengers, would they?
Shall I put them in the brig, sir?
Brig? No, Phillips. I'm not taking them into London. I'm dealing with them here. Now.
Well, I don't understand, sir.
This launch they were going to take, have it filled with concentrated food and water. Enough to last them for years.
Very good, sir.
Then I want the launch's motor completely demolished. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
What are you going to do with us?
You've attempted a crime unheard of for centuries. Piracy. I'm going to mete out the old punishment for it. I'm setting the three of you adrift.
Adrift out here? No, you can't.
You gotta take us into London. You got it.
They're right, sir. It's your duty to turn them over to the police. You haven't the authority to...
Phillips, out here I'm the law. You carry out my orders to the letter.
Yes, sir.
Captain, give us a break, will you? Don't set us adrift.
It will be murder. That's what it will be. Murder. Can't set us adrift out there. You can't.
I can and I will. You earned it.
How long have we been adrift out here? 2 months? 3? I guess I lost track. A long way back. Out here, with nothing but the sky to look at. Black, empty sky, blazing with stars. Time loses all meaning. The automatic radio senders keep transmitting signals, but no one listens. No one listens.
Yes, sir, Steve. Couldn't miss, could it? He couldn't miss, huh? You had everything covered, all right. All you missed was that automatic gas alarm they had in the storage room.
Shut up, Doc. Shut up.
Yes, sir. When that guard failed to check in, I got a good dose of that gas. Just a small detail you overlooked.
I said shut up.
You think because you're sending out those signals, someone is going to pick us up, huh?
They've got to pick us up. They've got
You
to.
fool. We are drifting further from the Earth all the time.
But they can't leave us drifting in space in this rocket launch. They can't.
No? Why not? We are 100 million miles out and going further. And has anyone come after us yet?
The Space Patrol. They'll rescue us. I tell you they will.
Never. They're letting us be examples to anyone else who tries to hijack a space liner. We're drifting out here in empty space for months. We'll drift onward till the day we die.
No, we won't. We'll be picked up, I tell you.
Yes. Why don't you get wise to yourself? This is the year 2185. Miracles don't happen anymore.
This is the mysterious traveler again. Did you enjoy our trip into the year 2185? It seems that criminals of the future aren't going to have any future. Not with science pitted against them. Poor Steve, Mike, and Doc. Imagine being adrift in space in a disabled rocket launch and being completely ignored. Yes, it seems that not only doesn't crime pay today, but it's going to pay even less in the year 2185. Oh, but that reminds me of my story for next week, The Big Dive. It's about a young man who figured out a perfect alibi for murder, and he forgot to take into account that if... Oh, you have to get off here. I'm sorry. But I'm sure we'll meet again. I take this same train every week at this same time.
You have just heard The Mysterious Traveler, which is played by Maurice Tarplin. In the cast were Ralph Bell, Louis Van Ruten, and Roger DeKoven. Original music is composed and played by Al Finelli. All characters in tonight's story were fictitious, and any resemblance to the names of actual persons was purely coincidental. Frank Waldecker speaking. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Okay, I have to be honest and say the first time I listened to this one, I was sure that it was taking place on board a cruise ship on terra firma. It caught me a bit by surprise that this was a spacefaring trip. Not sure how I missed it, but it made it that much more terrifying when I learned that they were drifting, lost in space. As you know, space is a much bigger place. The Mysterious Traveler had many great episodes during its run, but the very best one was titled Behind the Locked Door. It is my most popular, most requested episode, which took place in total darkness. Two archaeologists discover a century-old wagon train that had been sealed in a cave following a landslide. When their Native American guide is mysteriously and brutally attacked, the two, now lost in darkness, conclude that the descendants of the wagon train are still living in the cave. This was a fantastic episode, and I highly recommend it. If you want to listen to this one, I'll have a link to it in the show notes. I hope that you enjoyed our story for today. That was episode number 655, and these are the people that made it happen. James Dupree, Barry Smith, and Nancy Hornsby. Thank you for your stories today. If you want to follow the podcast or the blog, head to ronsamazingstories.com. There you will find any of the links I mentioned and how to contact us. Do you want to help the show? The best thing you can do is to tell your friends all about it, and please leave reviews or feedback wherever you listen. Clicking that follow or like button helps us grow. Thank you for listening, and I hope you come again to find out what are Ron's Amazing Stories.
All of the vintage audio used in the podcast is believed to be in the public domain. Ron's Amazing Stories does not own the rights to any of the old-time radio used here. If you hold the rights to any of the shows played, please contact us immediately at ronsamazingstories.com.